Evan Petzel wrote a story over the weekend from the Detroit Free Press, Tiger beat writer. I'm going to read in part from this, and maybe this will explain some of the why, at least as it pertains to Martinez. The Tigers and Martinez haven't had any dialogue about a contract. The Tigers don't want a singular player occupying the designated hitter spot in the lineup for roster construction reasons. The roster is built to create and exploit matchups, such as platoon advantage, to find wins in the margins. The opening at designated hitter creates an additional pawn for manager A.J. Hinch's chess moves. The 36-year-old had the worst strikeout rate of his career at 31% and the second worst walk rate of his career at 7.1%. He also missed more than 4 weeks of games while on the injured list with lower back tightness in April and in groin tightness in August. He has played just 12 innings in the field over the last 2 seasons. The story goes on to later say, Hinch and President of Baseball Operations Scott Harris explained at least a half dozen times over the past 5 months that there won't be a DH-only player on the roster in the 2024 season. It's about the construction of the roster. If Martinez were on the roster, his presence as a primary designated hitter would take away some opportunities from developing hitters such as Carpenter Green, Keith Torkelson, plus future opportunity from a below-average outfield defender in Justin Henry Malloy. So I don't know if that helps with the why. I think the biggest counter argument would be, who cares? Add JD Martinez and you could win this crappy division.
Right.
But it's counter to what Scott Harris believes in terms of building a baseball team.
Well, I think one of the things he definitely believes in is on-base percentage. Mm-hmm. All right. And you look at Mark Canha throughout his career, his on-base percentage is 100 points higher than his batting average. His career batting average is 250. His on-base percentage is 349. That's a pretty good jump when you see 100 points better than your average. The downside of that is that the average is only at 250. It's nothing special. But his career OPS is 772, which is encouraging because it's a hell of a lot better than just about everybody on the Tigers had last year. So it's a veteran guy that they bring in, and there's a reason they bring guys like this in. It's to show the other guys, how to have a better approach at the plate, and maybe they can glean something. I think he's more of a tutor than he is necessarily a player.
It's interesting you bring that up. If you bring in a JD Martinez, and as an organization, you're emphasizing that, because Javi Baez would never be a Tiger under the Scott Harris regime, right?
Never.
But it might make more sense. They're kind of contractually obligated to him, and maybe they'll get to a point where they say it's not worth it anymore. However, Gator, if you are emphasizing no more free swinging, strikeouts, we want walk rates to go up, et cetera, and then you go out and bring in a JD Martinez, are the guys in the organization going, what the hell is that? That's the opposite of what you've been teaching and what we've heard and what's been emphasized.
Yeah, and like Martinez and Chapman are similar, that, okay, maybe the numbers that Scott Harris looks at, that he deems are very important, it's making sure you're swinging within the strike zone. These guys don't follow that. What they do follow is that when they do hit it, they hit it a long way. Mm-hmm. And that the OPS numbers might tell you a different story, that, okay, the on-base percentage, maybe it's not what you want it to be, you're not drawing enough walks, but the power numbers are there. And this is a team that has kind of lacked power. So would they have helped? Absolutely. They would help you to win some games, but he's trying to build the team in the mold that he wants. And he's not looking in the short term. The problem is, we as fans, we do look at things in the short term. We've been waiting for a long time for this team to turn the corner and let's go. Let's start competing again. And if you add these guys to a lineup, I don't think there's any question that they would be competing. But again, it'd be a short-term thing, and they're trying to build something sustainable where they're giving opportunities to the young guys, and this would impede that.
Yeah.
You can agree or disagree. I'm just saying that's what it is.
That feels like it is exactly what it is. And you're right. They're thinking long-term. We are so focused on the short term. Like that argument, but you might win the division with that guy. It's hard to argue against that. But reading the story this weekend, I'm like, it kind of makes sense. If you're fully committed to a way you're going to build a baseball team, why go after guys that aren't going to be in that mold of how you're trying to teach everybody how to do it. Now, Blake Snell, on the other hand, I would love to see
pitching's
them.
different.
Yeah,
right?
I would love to see them get Blake Snell. And like I said, is there more to that story? Is it that might fall into the line of, if we say, why don't you go get Blake Snell? That if we knew the real reason, we go, oh, and it makes all the sense in the world.
I'm sure there's some
what it is.
There's some analytical reasons why teams have shied away.
Or they called and Blake Snell, get the F out of here.
Well, there could be something like that too. I think they probably have legitimate reasons why they're staying away from it. Maybe the number one is the cost. You're like, I'm not paying this guy $25-30 million a year because he's not the pitcher that he was, a few years ago when he put up insane numbers.